You've been grinding the game, playing DM, and aim training, but you're still confused why your aim doesn't improve. That's like taking medicine to treat the symptoms without getting a diagnosis and knowing the real root cause. That's why we made Aimlabs Benchmarks, to diagnose your aim and tell you exactly what to train next. In this video, we'll break down Aimlabs Benchmarks, what it tests, how the scoring works, and what your results actually mean. If you've been aim training for weeks and it still feels like nothing's changed, it's usually because you don't even know what you're bad at. Aimlabs Benchmarks is a built-in skill test that gives you a baseline and shows you where your aim is lacking, so you're not just randomly grinding and hoping it transfers. Now let's break down the actual challenges inside it. Benchmarks is structured into 3 main aim skills: tap, track, and switch. And inside each category, you'll see subskills. Each subskill has 2 benchmark scenarios designed to isolate that mechanic in different ways. Let's start with tap, which covers your clicking skills. First is time. This one is all about click timing, hitting targets during short windows right before they change direction. It leans into movement reading and timing your shots, not just raw speed. Strafeshot is for chaotic omnidirection changes. Bounceshot isolates vertical click timing. Next is flick. It tests your crosshair landing accuracy. Pentaflick is about speed, while Deepflick tests your wider flick range. Anticipate is about predictable movement, so it's more pre-aiming and leading your shot than timing the click. Flyshot focuses more on horizontal movement, while Liftshot focuses more on vertical movement. Micros is for benchmarking micro-aim, those tiny adjustments to land precise shots. Gentleshot focuses on micro adjustments, while Microbounce focuses more on timing those small shots. And that's the full tap category. Now let's move on to track. This category is all about keeping your crosshair glued to a moving target. First is precise. The movement here is linear and predictable, so it tests your tracking accuracy and how consistently you can stay on target. There's no movement reading or sudden adjustment here. It's all about staying locked onto the target. Bouncetrack focuses more on vertical tracking, while Lasertrack focuses more on horizontal tracking. Next is reactive. This tests how well you can stay on target when the movement is less predictable and the target changes direction more often. Droidtrack focuses on purely horizontal reactive tracking, while Snitchtrack adds verticality into the movement. Another one is control. This tests your stability and smoothness when targets change direction, but not in a sudden reactive way. It's more about controlled adjustments, staying on target through the change without overcorrecting or getting shaky. Hovertrack focuses on smooth control on a floating target, while Ravetrack focuses on control against jumping movement. Next is Strafe. This tests tracking in strafe fights, where both you and the target are moving at the same time. Dueltrack is purely horizontal strafe tracking, while Skytrack adds vertical movement into the mix. That wraps up track. Let's move on to switch. Switch is about transferring between targets fast, then settling your crosshair on the next one cleanly. It's basically clicking plus tracking. You're not just flicking once. You transfer to a new target, make a small adjustment while you're on it, then instantly move to the next. Switch is split into 4 subskills. First is speed. This is your pacing while chaining targets. Slideswitch is switching on predictable linear movement, while Curveswitch is switching between multiple static targets. Second is transition. These challenges focus on going from a fast switch into speed matching the target's movement. Jumpswitch is more vertical heavy, while Joltswitch transitions into finer movements. Next is stability. This isolates how consistent you stay across repeated switches, so your mechanics don't get shaky or sloppy mid-run. Gentleswitch has targets with fine movement, while Skateswitch adds readable strafing and jumping. Last is acquisition. These test how quickly you can get on the next target after each switch. The targets go down fast, so the focus is less on tracking and more on snapping to the next target cleanly. And since the movement is simple and linear with no strafing or speed changes, it purely isolates that lock-on speed. Quickswitch focuses on horizontal acquisition, while Pentaswitch adds verticality. Now that you know what each task is measuring, let's break down the scoring. When you play a benchmark scenario, only your high score counts, your best run. If you hover over a specific challenge, you'll see the high score thresholds for each rank, like iron, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. This lets you see what score you need to hit to reach the next rank in that challenge. Each rank is split into 4 tiers, such as gold 4 to gold 1, and each tier is worth 25 skill points. So one full rank equals 100 skill points. On the right side, you'll see the average skill points for that subskill, based on the 2 scenarios inside it. Then all your skill points get averaged into your overall skill points, and that final number determines your overall rank. So after all that, you end up with a clear snapshot of your aim across tap, track, and switch. You can instantly see what's holding you back, whether it's a whole category or a specific subskill, and use that to shape your training plan. Once you start hitting the top ranks in your current level, you can move up in difficulty. Benchmarks has 3 levels: entry, intermediate, and elite. If you're feeling competitive, you can check the leaderboards and climb. Or if you're just curious where you sit compared to everyone else, you can look at the rank distribution tab. So that's Aimlabs Benchmarks. At this point, you should know how the categories are structured, what each task is meant to measure, and how your high scores turn into skill points and a rank. Just remember, Benchmarks is the diagnosis. It tells you where you're strong and where you're falling behind, but it's not the training plan. So in the next video, I'm going to break down the exact tasks to play for each subskill, so you can train your weakest areas with a real plan. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out.